Welcome, everybody, to the Star Citizen Podcast. How you doing tonight? I thought that I would share on our 18th week of doing the podcast something that, Zel and I were talking about this a little bit, and we always kind of fail to mention, the podcast, of course, we do on YouTube, but you can get it on Spotify, you can get it on Apple, you can get it on Google, you can get it on Amazon. We're on Overcast, we're in a few other places, Radio Public. I thought I'd
all your favorite podcasting networks.
All of your favorite podcasting networks. So you can look for the Explorers League, the Rock Runners Report, on any of those platforms. And so Zel and I are just wanted to make sure everybody knew that out there. So Zel, how you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm pretty good. And welcome to everybody that's out there in podcast land, YouTube land, and good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be in the world.
Absolutely. We have a very interesting episode for you tonight. I mean, and if you guys listened to the podcast last week, you know that we were, probably, Zel and I are usually glasses half full kind of guys when it comes to Star Citizen. Love the project, and of course that the last week's episode didn't necessarily change that, but you did hear us maybe for the first time scratch our chin a little bit and go, and I think this week's episode is going to be fun as well, because we are going to take a look at ships and ship costs, real ship costs, and really just kind of go through and tell you what our thoughts are on buying ships in Star Citizen.
Yeah, and to kind of give you a little TLDR on this little concept is we got to talking, and I have a few LTI tokens laying around that are going to have to be applied to a few things. And well, we got to talking about what would I apply these tokens to? It's a little bit of what we talked about last week of how much money that you've already spent on the game, and we went into that whole diatribe of we've already spent a lot of money in this game, and the reason that we bought the game wasn't for Squadron 42. It was to be in the PU, and that kind of got us thinking of, well, we've got some tokens laying around. I got some tokens laying around, and at these current prices, what am I going to apply the tokens to? And we really kind of wanted to go through some of the pricing on some of these ships. How pricing's changed from concept to when the ship goes live in game, and is it worth the sometimes 50% markup on some of these ships, bumping it up $300-$400 from where it was during the concept phase.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then also kind of go into a little speculation of something that we kind of were laughing about a little bit is maybe if CIG took more kind of the Walmart approach to selling ships, kind of go for volume rather than these giving you some kind of perceived value in what you're buying. And we're going to kind of, talk a little bit about that tonight, too.
Yeah. And of course, listen, I mean, it should go without saying that, when it comes to buying things like this in game, you always want to 100%, whatever your budget allows, do the last thing you ever want to do is spend money on something you really, it's just not in your budget. You know what I mean? And there are lots and lots of entry level things to get you in Star Citizen. And we'll talk about those tonight a little bit too, as we kind of get down towards the bottom of the list and the lowest prices. And we'll, it's probably not lost on you, but we'll give you what we think is probably some of your best buy-ins to get started. And you really don't need to spend a whole lot of money to get started, but there are some ships, if you are going to spend a little bit of money, that are worth it. And then there are some that, Zel and I look and we just kind of scratch our head and go, wow, I'm not sure if this thing was $100, I'd buy it, even though it's not, so, so, I mean, we can just start diving right in if you want, so.
Yeah. Let's do it. Do you want to start in that origin range and kind of work our way down this list, or?
Yeah, I mean, we could certainly, and we're going to talk about the ships in game. Now, there are, of course, all of your, there's your Javelins and your Kraken Privateers, your Krakens, your Idrises, we're not really, I mean, $3,000 for a ship or $2,000 for a ship or $1,650 for a ship. These types of prices are, you have decided that you're investing into the game. I mean, I don't necessarily know. I mean, Zel and I kind of chuckle. I mean, I wouldn't spend $3,000 on a ship. I mean,
if you got the cash, good on you.
Well, heavens, yes, absolutely.
But we talked a little bit about this earlier on, where something that was, $3,000, a $3,000 digital asset. We got a little bit of disposable income, but you're also looking at, your perceived value, your value of that said item. Like we're kind of laughing is, I love watches. I would have rather went out and bought an Omega for $3,000.
I mean, listen, you're
a bottom line Omega. Another thing too. I spent $3,600 on this new laptop.
Yeah, there's another thing. I mean, like a $3,000 Javelin. I mean, boy, you could get yourself maybe one of the latest gen video cards. We were talking about those.
I mean, you might be able to buy the next gen.
Yeah, I mean, one of the AIBs or whatever.
We're looking at you, NVIDIA. We're looking at you.
Yeah, we are looking at you, NVIDIA. You might want to avoid that $8.99 price point, or but other than that, no. But anyways, yeah. So like the Javelin's $3,000, or the Kraken Privateer's $2,000, or the Kraken $1,650, or even the Idrises, the P's $1,500, the Idris M's $1,000. And I mean, that's not necessarily what they were originally sold for. Their concept sales were a little different. I mean, those are in their own category. You know what I mean? I think we're probably going to start from the $1,000 ships and down for the most part. And there's a lot of no's to be had along those parts. So probably the first one we want to talk about, that's actually in the game for $950 would be the Origin 890 Jump. And it's also, that's a ship you can purchase for $32 million, 32.3 or whatever, if you will, 32 and some change. $950 for the Origin 890 Jump. So what do you think of that?
I think that's a lot of money, man. For the 890 Jump.
Yes, it is.
Look, what was its concept? Its concept was $600 back in the day. And, when you're thinking at 2014, 2015 pricing, that's about the time the 890 Jump went on sale. And, at $600, you're like, wow, that's $600. I could buy top of the line video card back then. So, look, this isn't, this is, I guess, our perceived value, what we feel like is good value for the money.
Yes, this is it's a perceived value. I agree with that. 100%.
Yeah, and and that was, kind of one of the things, something that we'll talk about kind of later on is, what the prices, what CIG deemed the prices to be at concept, and what their in-game what their live price is, and and then kind of come at it from a different approach. And that's one of the things too is would they have done better in a different direction? And we'll get into that later. But yeah, man, $600 as a concept. And you got to think, back in those days, man, that was early on in the game. Yeah, it started, 2012, and it, crowdfunded a lot. What was it, 250 million right off the bat? Well, not right off the bat, but within 2 years, I think it crowdfunded about 250 million. I think it was like,
it's crazy,
160, 170 million. Just from Kickstarter. So, yeah, I mean, people were hungry for a game like this. And then you didn't see, yes, this is going through its development period, and CIG was kind of gathering its talent and trying to figure out all the things that they wanted to do with the game. And so in that 2014, 2015 range, I guess the concept for the 890 jump came out, and at $600, it's still, to me, it would have seemed kind of, if you're wanting to, if you have the money and wanted to pledge and, to give your $600 contribution to the game, cool. But still, a lot of people probably thought it was a little risky spending that kind of money on something that, hasn't really solidified just yet, or, if the game will even get off the ground, that type of thing.
Well, certainly, you're absolutely right. I mean, at the time when the 890 jump came out, I mean, it was even in a much different situation. You're right. I mean, $600 would have seemed very, very risky at that time. You had a lot less things going on in the game.
Oh, yeah. I mean, at that time, that's about when I, started buying into the game. And, all we could do is play a little Arena Commander and get inside your hangar.
Yep.
And get to play around in your ships a little bit. Pretend like you're flying around.
So,
I mean, we didn't have the buggy at that time to even drive around inside of our hangars. So I mean, yeah, you would have been $600. I don't know, man. That seems like a lot of money to be spending on this.
Let me ask you this: I wouldn't spend $600 today on the 890 jump, but and that's just me. But the one question we're going to do a lot ask tonight is, Zel, for $100, let's say, because we've talked about the Walmart approach. If the 890 jump was $100, would you buy it?
Damn straight. I mean, that seems like, it's still $100, and for a lot of people, that's still a lot of money.
Oh, absolutely.
And to kind of give a little context to everybody, one of the things that V and I have played over the years is World of Tanks, and a lot of you guys may have played World of Tanks as well. But in that time period, we got to talking, and we probably have spent about the same amount of money each on tanks.
I mean, World of Tanks just did that thing where it's like, tanks were, some of them were 25 or 30 or 35 or 40, 45 or 50.
You can buy premium tank. We call them, the colloquial term for them is gold tanks.
Yep.
Because what they were made for is you used them to as experience boosters for, crews from that type of line of tank. And it also made a lot more credits, and it made more credits than tech tree tanks did. So it allowed you to generate more credits, and use credits to buy tech tree tanks. You buy equipment, and actually that game, it's pretty grindy. It takes a long time to build up a lot of credits. So you want those premium tanks to help you generate 50% more credits than a normal tank does.
Yep.
And usually they're a little bit, they have something unique. Usually those premium tanks have a unique quality to them that makes them pretty neat, and you like them, and a lot of them are fun to play. And some people can argue that, they may be a little OP than the, tech tree tanks. And, a lot of people can get on the whole argument that it's a kind of play to win situation. And, we're not going to get into that argument. But what we're trying to express is that, at that 30, 40, 50, and some of them are $60. And that $60, that's the upper echelons for a heavy tank, is, in that $59.99, that $60 price range. And, we bought a crap ton of those at that price point. We probably got $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 in premium tanks each. So, we kind of was looking at, that kind of angle, that Walmart angle for CIG. CIG, there's 122 ships that's flyable right now, and ground vehicles is in there too. And if it was at that $100 price point, or even let's say even like let's maybe expand it just a hair even. So absolutely anybody would have bought the 890 at that $100 price point. But let me put it to you. Let me ask you this. At $200, and we'll say that $200 price range is the upper echelon. That's like the highest. At $200, would you have spent that on the 890?
There are going to be a lot of ships tonight that at $100 or $200, I'd say yes to. The 890 is not one of them for me. It does. I wouldn't. I actually, if the 890 went on sale for $100 tomorrow, I wouldn't buy it. I'm just gonna say that. There's lots of them that I would buy, but the 890 just doesn't do anything for me. And to be honest with you, it's got some amazing stuff. I mean, it's a cool ship. Don't get me wrong. It's a super cool ship with its hangar. It's huge. It's got a rocket pod on it that can just, I think, fire like 25. I mean, the thing's just devastating. I mean, it's got some pretty devastating firepower. And as a matter of fact, I mean, I know that we've used it as kind of a, in our old organization, we used it as a kind of a fleet,
it's a command center,
a command ship, exactly, command. Mm-hmm. It served that purpose very well. I mean, considering what's in the game right now, you don't have your Polarises, you don't have your your Perseuses and that type of thing in the game right now. But yeah, I mean, the 890 jumps, aesthetically isn't really in my wheelhouse. So definitely not me for 100 or 200, although there's going to be tons of, as we go through this price list, there's going to be tons of them that I definitely would buy at a lower price.
Mm-hmm. Just because I'm kind of like Pokemon, I want to collect them all.
Sure.
Because, I got this weird collection addiction. So, I gotta collect them all. At $100, I'd probably say, yeah. At $200, kind of question a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Do I feel that its perceived value is worth $200?
I could see for $200. If other people were like, it's 200. I mean, I would never think to myself that's a bad buy at $200. It's a huge ship.
Yeah, I'd say. And and look, man, this is all relative, right?
Right.
It's whatever, you know. I just feel like anything over that is.
It starts making you scratch your head a little bit,
Yeah, because look, at the end of the day, these are digital assets, and if
You're buying
we're
JPEGs.
if we're really wanting, it's like people never consider anymore. I think they used to in the beginning of, wanting to support the game. They're like, well, we're getting something cool out of it. I just feel like, to me, just to kind of get it out of the way a little bit, I don't necessarily believe that the way they started pricing some of these ships was in line with. I mean, I know we've talked about perceived value and what people feel like they're getting out of their ships, and maybe some of the uniqueness of it is the fact that it is at that price point, and only some people want to come out of pocket for that, $950.
Because at the end of the day, it's not $100 or $200 like you saying. It's $950.
$950. Yeah. That's
a lot of cheese.
that's a lot of cheese, man. And so not a lot of people can do that. So as it relates to the few that did, they're in their own little club. But I feel like CIG would have been better served if they kind of took the approach of what we're talking about tonight, with the 122 ships that they have live right now. Yeah, I would have spent, $1,200 on this by now for sure. Easy. So, but it's just, it's kind of a weird thing. It's like, yeah, we got disposable income and all this other stuff. But, when you start looking at that, only because we've, I've been in business and, I just kind of got a weird way of perceiving value in things. It's like, these aren't tangible things. This isn't something that, it's not like I went and bought a nice ass watch, or I bought a bunch of computer components. And, so once it goes beyond kind of like, fun pocket money, and then you start, digging into cash, then it kind of loses appeal for me, especially for something that you'll be able to earn in game.
Well, and that's the other side of it too. I mean, yes, the 890 jumps 32 million, but you can put your foot down and then in probably a good, 45 day. I mean, I'm just, you can do it much faster than that. But if you're just kind of monkeying around, in about 45 days mining, you could easily make that 32 million.
Oh yeah, easy.
I mean, and that's not. I'm not even saying you're trying. I'm saying you're not. You're not trying. You can easily make mining. If you went mining a couple hours a day, you're probably gonna make anywhere between. Some days you're gonna get lucky. Some days you're gonna make anywhere from 300 to 700,000 in a couple hours. You could do real well and all of a sudden hit, get yourself, 700,000, or you might, have a little bit harder time. But, so you can absolutely earn, that money in game for sure. So just, I think I'm going to keep a running list here, Zel. So just so I understand, you would have bought the 890 at $100, but $200,
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I wrote 100 down for you. Right now, I'm just going to say it's a 0 for me. So, anything else about the 890?
it's cool for what it is. That's about all I wanted to say. We'll kind of get out of the negative lane, man. We're gonna go to the left lane, man, and put it in gear.
Cool. And, so Hammerhead, how about that guy? Hammerhead, interesting price point. Current price on the Hammerhead, 725 smackers. Original concept price was $650. So it hasn't gone up a ton. I think I've had some fun in the Hammerhead. Hammerhead is a little bit buggy in game. I mean, it is, but when it does actually act right, and you can get everybody kind of, it's a lot of fun. I will say just right off the bat, $100. Once again, this is just not a ship. It's not in my wheelhouse. I wouldn't pay $100 for a Hammerhead, so definitely not two. What about you, Zel?
Oh no. Would I spend $100 on it? Yep.
Yeah.
I would. Yeah.
What about $200?
No.
No. Okay, that's reasonable.
Well, it's one of those things. Yeah, we like it. It's cool. But to have it in the fleet for $100, yeah, sure. $200? Nah. Nah. I mean, what is it? 15 million or what? 12 million in game. So.
Yeah, that's not even that hard to earn, really.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously that's about a third of the 890 jump and way up there in price. All right.
We got to tell people if you spent $2,000 on the Kraken, you were smoking Kraken.
Well, once again, those ships you're not buying. I mean, you might like the idea of the ship. You must love the idea of Star Citizen.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because listen, here's a really good point, right? Are you flying a Javelin in Squadron 42?
No.
No. Are you flying a Kraken in Squadron 42?
No.
No. So I mean, it's funny. We were making it. I didn't even think about that point last week. We were talking about the Squadron 42. It's like, hey man, it's just like a lot of the money that's getting made is being made for Star Citizen. Well, TAC has all their expensive ships. You don't need, like, some of these most expensive ones. You don't. I mean, you don't fly these in Squadron 42. I mean,
the only thing you're going to be flying is a Lightning. So realistically, you're not going to be flying any of these ships.
Right, like a Gladius and a Lightning, and who knows, maybe an Arrow or something. I don't honestly know. I mean,
yeah, I think it's maybe a Gladius and a Lightning. I think that's about it.
Yeah,
so
could be. All right, well, moving on. The A2 Hercules concept standalone price $700. It's standalone price right now. It says it's $750. What?
Out of a lot of these that we've talked about so far, I think this is probably one of the most egregious, overpriced ships for what it is.
I don't disagree. 700 smackers. And its in-game price is $5 million. By the way, I could bang that out in about 3 days in game.
Well, really, man, if you put your foot down, you could have it really. If you were going to do some serious grinding, you could have it ground out in a day. Notwithstanding your
refining jobs.
Your refining jobs, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. So 700. It's like, that you start getting down into some of these. When it's a 5.5 million in-game ship, I mean, versus 700 real smackaroos.
That's right. Oh, by the way, guys, while we're talking about what we could do mining wise, if you would like to see V and myself and a couple of guys pull a serious challenge to see how much we can mine up in a day, we're going to throw the gauntlet down. So if you'd like to see us try to hit that Guinness Book of World Records, how much we can make in one day in 4 hours, let us know down in the comments below.
Yes, definitely let us know. And we were monkeying around tonight, and I found I found an 80, almost an 83. I think it was an 8274 or something like that, at 48%. As a 70, over 70 SCU in one rack. Holy smokes! That was
good rock.
That was a nice.
Too bad.
rock.
Yeah, too bad my game is. It finally got through download.
All right, so A2 Hercules, $100, yes or no?
Heck yeah.
All right, we'll write you down for 100 there.
What about you?
I don't want to say no in a way because but we're gonna hit a bunch of that. The A2, there's another one in this line that I definitely would buy. That's the thing. So the A2, great ship, fun ship. I mean, I have not been tempted to buy it. I'm going to pass on this one for even $100, to be honest. I mean, 700 real dollars. I would probably pass on this one for $100. It's not really my jam, but like I said, we're about to start. We're going to turn the corner here, and there's going to be a million of them that I'm going to say yes to. So,
well, as it relates to the A2, it's got limited use case. I mean, what are you buying it for? What's the big thing, man? To go troll people, to drop the big bomb on everybody.
Yep.
So,
well, and it does. Listen, it's bristling with firepower. It is a heck of a gunship too. It does have a lot of floor space. It's not a bad ship. I mean, but Zel's exactly right. I mean, most people, the reason they're buying it is because they want to drop a bomb and jump down.
You dropped a bomb on me, baby.
Exactly. All right, moving on, man. So we got the Anvil Carrack. The Anvil Carrack. Let's go ahead and take a look. I'm looking at a couple different things here. Carrack was original price was $625, and it is still standalone price is $625.
What's funny is we didn't see a big jump in price from
the original concept Carrack. I'm sorry, I was looking at the Expedition.
$350.
$350. So,
you're talking about the Expedition, yeah. The double, like we were talking about, doubled the price. $350.
Yep. And here's the thing. Now, I'm going to say right off the bat at $100, absolutely for me. At $200, I'm starting to be like, yeah, but that's a no-brainer. I'd get a Carrack at $100 any day of the week. I'd do it. Absolutely. Tomorrow, I'd buy one for $100.
Oh, hey, I'm gonna throw a ringer, dude. I'm gonna throw a ringer at you.
Okay.
And it isn't in game, but we got the pricing on it. Odyssey. Concept sale, $700. Still $700 because, well, it's not in game yet. Once it goes in game, it's gonna be over $1,000. It's gonna be it'll be more than the $890.
It's crazy.
So, because it started at a higher price point to begin with. I mean, they may pull in line with the $890, making it that $950 price point to kind of, to go, whatever. $1,200, man. That, if you would, if you're looking at the averages and what these, the prices jump up to, Yeah, I mean, it's going to be over $1,000. But at $200, would you buy the Odyssey?
Yes. Odyssey isn't. I mean, listen, $700. No. I mean, it's just come. I love the Odyssey. I mean, I love the whole concept of it. $700 is a bridge too far for me, but $200, yeah, I'm gonna write myself down for $200. I'd buy it at $200 any day of the week.
Well, what's a little nutballs is that, its concept was $700. And the Carrick, which, basically they're, besides some differences, kind of in that same line. And the Carrick was only $350.
Yeah, you've definitely got some power creep going on there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Good point.
Because, yeah, I mean, would I spend $200 on the Carrick? No, probably not. Well, I don't know. That'd be a toughie. At $100, absolutely. $150, absolutely. I'd say even $150 I'd buy it.
Yep.
But because you even look at it, you even start kidding yourself a little bit when you start looking at what everything cost, and you're like, oh well, at the concept was only $350. It almost, I mean, in a way, you start going, well, that was, relatively speaking, that was a pretty good price. But yeah, I mean, I think, like you were saying, once it starts somewhere, then it starts creeping up.
Yep.
And I'm telling you, CIG, if you're listening out there, you would have sold, however many of these Odysseys that you guys had sold. If that thing would have been $200, you would have sold 10 times more. Guaranteed.
I think you'd have made more money overall. Yep, I do.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's just economics. And the whole point of this exercise is the fact that, a lot of these are priced the way they are.
Yep.
You would have sold 10, 20 times more at $100 than you did at, I mean, $400, $500, $600.
Just trying to just be. I'm gonna play a little bit the husband here, okay? I do. My family, we do good in life. I mean, we're not wealthy, we're not poor. You know what I mean? We do okay in life. $100 or $150 or $200. Just in the most bare knuckle sense is a whole different conversation, as you can imagine, with my wife than $700. I mean, I'm not trying to be weird. I'm not trying to be weird or say that that my wife would say you can't have it. That's not the way our relationship works. But I am saying that if you just think about life, I mean, it's just like hey babe, I'd like to spend $100 on this thing. Okay. Hey babe, I'd like to spend $700 on this thing. It's like, what are you buying for $700? This thing that's not in the game yet. It's just, I'm not trying to be weird about it. I'm trying to be kind of honest about it. I do think it's a different conversation. When you start spending $600, $700, $800 on something. For Star Citizen.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to absolutely, and for you guys out there that are married, exactly what we're talking about.
Yes.
We're man children, and if you spend $700 on something in game, your wife is going to crack you upside the head with something like, what the hell? Especially when these days, and I know you guys out there, man, you're feeling the pinch. Like we said, we've done pretty good, for ourselves, and man, pray every day that, for what we have.
Yep.
And these days, man, when grocery prices are $200 more than they were a couple of months ago.
Yes.
We used to spend $400 or $500 every week at the grocery, and now it's $600-$700 at the grocery. So, that's a big deal. That's a difference. You want some, chip in game that you may never even freaking play with, but once in a blue moon, or would you rather go buy groceries this week? Man, I think that's just kind of how, if you put it in that kind of line of thinking. So yeah, man, when you start hitting those price points, you start going, that's kind of, it's waste of money. But, it's also kind of that McDonald's mentality, right? You can go to McDonald's every week, every day this week, and, spend $10 on whatever. I haven't been to McDonald's in years, but I'm just kind of trying to make an analogy here where, you've spent, you spend $10 every time you go to McDonald's, and, pretty soon you've spent $50 on McDonald's in a week or whatever. But, or even kind of bring it back to, things are expensive these days.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, listen,
these are luxury, honestly, luxury items.
Yes, they're luxury items. That's exactly right. And especially, especially when, they're not in, some of these things are just, they're concepts. I mean, they're things that will eventually be, you know what I mean? So yeah, anyways, I don't, it's, this is like kind of the point we're trying to make, it's that 100, 200. It's a lot. It's a lot different than these more expensive ships.
Kind of go back to that tank analogy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where, it's like every time a new tank came out, went and bought it, or hell, you could even say it this way and kind of like, even for a lot of people, kind of spacing out that purchase. This is something that we could also kind of get into a little discussion about as well. Kind of wrap this all in together is, it's okay to spend $40 or $50 a week on your hobby.
Oh, of course.
It's okay. And don't get me wrong. I've had some expensive hobbies. I've had remote control helicopters and this and that. And every time I would go take my helicopter out and fly it, man, it cost me $200 because I'd wreck it or whatever. So, yeah, I mean, look, I am not trying to be, if we're kind of coming off, I'm not on a high horse for sure, or I'm not.
Oh, heavens, no. I mean, I think hopefully people are getting the opposite. I mean, these are,
Yeah, but this is a video game.
Yes.
And, having spend a little bit of money every week, $50 here, $50 there every week, it's, it may not be in some people's budgets, but, it's a lot easier to do. And I'm kind of like talking in that, CIG listening approach where, think about it. So the game goes live. And, most it's the games, of course, this game's, it came out this week, that they've got their 500 million in funding. Of course, we know it's more than that. It's closer to about 650 million. And by the end of IAE, it may be in that, 750 or 750 million range for the ship sales or whatever. But, so the game goes live. how's the game going to be sustained? I mean, I could understand if, if it was one of those things where, you would buy the new chip when it came out, sort of like in that same, World of Tanks line, because, they basically make their money off microtransactions, buying gold and boosters and things like that. That's kind of how they make their money, as well as selling premium tanks. Now we can kind of put it in line and going, well, would you buy the new chip that they put out every couple of months or something at these price points that we're talking about? You got to also think that these things are also going to be purchasable in game.
Yes.
So, where do you draw the line in the sand and go, well, I'm done buying things and I'm going to earn these things in game. I'm going to give myself something to do, a goal to strive for. And, basically that's the way we kind of see it is, we want to earn these things in game. But, to kind of, to go with our exercise, as we often do, kind of get down the rabbit hole a little bit. But, so how are we going to sustain ourselves down the road? We've always advocated for a subscription price. And we know that, we've been paying $20 a month for a couple of years, at least I have. And that's okay with me. It's nothing that I haven't done in any other game that I've ever played, WoW or Star Wars Galaxies or, any other MMO out there. But what's it going to look like, later down the road? What is CIG planning on, making their money with? It's
going to be interesting, because it doesn't seem like, after the, how many $3,000 javelins are you going to sell after the ship goes live? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
These little nuggets to chew on here, man, and figure it out. So let's get on. Let's kind of get more into this little exercise here. I'm having fun.
All right. So, I guess the question is, because we have ventured off into ships that aren't in the game yet, are we going to stick kind of with the ships, whatever, just kind of go down the list of all ships, or are we going to stick with ships in the game? Probably.
Well, I'd say, we'll might pull a ringer or two out of there. I knew, when we were talking about the Carrack.
Yep.
I had to pull the Odyssey ringer out.
Well, that's a good point.
So, all right, man, let's go.
All right. Well, there is one more ringer. Then let's do this other ringer, and then we'll kind of move on. So, you got the Liberator. We know what that thing's gonna do. It's probably gonna be it's a neat ship in the sense that it only takes a crew of 2, but it's going to be kind of almost like I don't know, pocket carrier is the right thing to say.
Yeah, it's a little mobile base.
Yeah, a little mobile base. So, $575. I didn't buy it.
No. But for what we know that this thing is going to do, at $575, it doesn't doesn't give you that feeling like CIG kicked me in the nuts.
No, I don't hate it. I mean, so let me just say, for the fact, I mean, I honestly do think about it. It's still a bridge too far. But at $200, it's no brainer. I mean, I would pay the $100 and the $200 for that. I would pay $200 for the Liberator any day of the week.
All day long. All
right, so I'll pop you down for $200. That's a good one to know. So let's talk about the C2 Hercules. It looks like it does look like the C. Has it crept up over $500? I know that they're saying. It's saying
no.
It's saying 400 on this one page, but on this other page, it's saying it's $520. little bit of a discrepancy between Gamers by Night and Star Citizen fandom.
Well, let's see. It says it's 400 bones, and then when we look, we go to CIG.
Yeah, we're just kind of. Let's see what Star Citizen Wiki, do they have it on there? They're saying it's 400 as well.
Well, let's see. I think it is
On this site.
our list. Whoops, wrong one. Let's see.
Kind of looking at the gray market a little bit too. Yeah, they are.
Yeah, I think it's $400.
Well, you know what? I'm not going to say that $400 I would not pay for the Hercules. Nope. Definitely would not do that. $100, absolutely. I'd buy that for $100 any day of the week.
And it looked like, all things being equal, and if this is the correct pricing in our list, said the concept for it was $360. So it didn't look like it crept up a ton.
Right.
When it went in game. So, but yeah. Here's something pretty interesting too. That, haven't been talking about, but for the price of the C2 in game at $4,925,000. Too low? For in-game price?
Well, you know what? That's a great question. I mean, first of all, I could definitely, it wouldn't, considering it's the largest hauler in the game right now, if that thing sat around, 8 or 12 million or something, I wouldn't have batted an eyelid at it.
No, here's the thing. We know these in-game prices right now are placeholders. And, something that, we were talking, with one of our buddies from the org tonight. And it, the prices of ships, that kind of came up. And I believe, they definitely need to reevaluate the cost of some of these in-game ships. Not to go too far off of what we're talking about, but it does. When you're, a lot of these, a lot of these people out there right now are, they're multiplying, their in-game worth with the, what things, what the pledge price of it is, and then you get that, they're working it out that way where, is it worth, that amount of money in game? But to me, honestly, and we're not going to spend too much time on it. I may bring up, some of the ones I feel are pretty egregious, but $5 million, I think, is really, really cheap.
It's a very reasonable price. $5 million for basically the best hauler in the game.
And I believe these prices need to be, they are definitely going to have to go up. They need to reflect its value in game as well. Where, I think with a lot of these, especially for people like us that know how to get out and grind, I think, to keep people striving for stuff, feeling like, I think it would also give a little bit a more sense of accomplishment for some of these ships that, because you got to think, man, you're gonna have to. I know that there's going to be a lot of ships in game later down the road. I mean, we got, including ground vehicles, we got 122 right now. But yeah, I mean, I think some of these prices are going to have to go up, especially when, a lot of the different gameplays come in and they reevaluate the cost of these, reevaluate how much money you're going to make from these missions and things like that. And, all the other factors. I definitely believe the C2 needs to be double what it is right now. It needs to be 10 million.
I mean, if it was 10 million, I wouldn't bat an eyelid at it. It would make sense. I mean, there isn't a ship that can, right now in the verse that can haul more trading cargo.
Yeah, I mean, one of the arguments that got brought up is its sense of value. It's like, well, I mean, because anybody can spend a couple of days and buy it at that price. And then the argument got brought up is like, well, then it kind of devalues all these other ships in game. They're like, well, heck, if I can get the biggest hauler in the game for 5 million, I mean, why would I even want to buy Caterpillar or Freelancer Max or, any of these other haulers out there? It kind of negates them in a way.
That's a good point.
Putting it at that upper echelon where you actually have to, work a good time in these brackets. Like with most games, you're like, you have your, I'm fresh in the game, I'm broke, I got to do a little mission, a few missions to buy, some of the starter ships, run a bunch of missions, and then I can, then you do that gradual upgrade. Yeah, it's no fun when you have no gradient between your, Cutlass Black, and then a day later you're rolling around in a C2. So, I definitely believe that there needs to be a lot in between those as well, to give these other ships, their value as the next, your next rung up the ladder. So
that makes sense.
Yep.
600i. What do you think of that guy? 400 and it looks like there's a couple different ones, but I mean, basically $475.
Yep.
Is the Explorer model.
Yep.
And I would, I mean, I know Mr. Zai, he loves the 600i, and I know he has it. I would not spend $475 for the 600i by any stretch of the imagination. What about at $100 though? I think I would buy the 600i in here, because those. I was actually interested in the 600i for the fact that it has those 3 size 5 cannons. 3 size, I mean, it actually is a fairly, that in the verse today makes it very combat capable. Nothing can. I mean, once things can get in on you, it can be rough. But I mean, you can really lay a hurting on things. So, I'd definitely buy it for $100. I don't know that I would buy it for $200 though.
No. $100, absolutely. $200, no. You kind of hit that at that $200 level. It's like, nah. But $100, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's kind of another one of those things too. Is I know everything should be earned in game, but if we were gonna kind of play devil's advocate a little bit and advocate for microtransaction type things, and we know that it's already kind of been in there, especially when when you're thinking about that 300 series Origin 300 series where
you get the coffee maker,
you were buying all
that,
the trim, buying the trim inside the ship. And yeah, I mean, that's another thing too. And yeah, all day long, man. Paint schemes, like unique paint schemes, and maybe kind of different 3D skins that go on your ship. That just kind of give it a little extra flair, whatever. I buy those things all day long. Absolutely. I mean, even in Star Citizen, I've probably spent $300-$400 on buying up all the paints that I could in game, or buying all the paints I could on the site. So
sure.
Yeah. So and I guess this is my line of thinking, so let me kind of get back to it.
Sure.
Would I spend $200 on the 600? Well, we'll just say the Explorer, right? With all the cool stuff that goes inside of it.
Sure.
Would I spend $200? No. Would I spend? Would I buy the Touring for $100 as its bone stock, and then upgrade? With new skin, new paint, some, in-ship items like like the bar, or different other little things that go in it, like a piano, or some of those type of things, because we know it's going to be modular. Would you buy the modular parts of the ship for another $75?
Probably not on the 600i me. But here's the one thing I will say here's an X factor that I'm just going to toss out there. We do know the 600i is going to get a rework.
Yep.
And there's a lot of real estate to work with there. They certainly could build a 600i that I would absolutely do that. And especially when we know that, the Med Bay and some of that other thing, some of those other things that are getting in there, you know what I mean? So, right now, the way the 600i sits, for me, like I said, it's 100. Yep, absolutely. 200, no. Mm-hmm. If they did do a rework of the 600i that I liked, and then there was, like you said, these microtransactions that I could add on, first of all, I bought the 315p one day, and I tacked all the stuff on it. I thought it was great to do that. I enjoyed doing that. Kind of going through, it's almost like buying a new car, you know what I mean?
That's right. Do you want the carbon fiber trim, or do you want the wood trim?
Exactly, man. I think I ended up, it was like a $90-some 315p when I was done with it. Which I think I know I eventually melted and did something else with that money, but people who have that I've talked to or who have listened to me, it shouldn't be lost on anybody. I have kind of an affection for the 315p just because it's going to have a tractor beam, and I could see this important use case for it, and say in mining ops and that type of thing. But no, with the 600i, currently as it sits, I don't think so. But they certainly could rework one where I would pay $200 for it, or I might pay $100 and then do some of the upgrades. For it, I could definitely see myself doing that because it is a good size ship, and it is a touring, kind of a. It's a ship that you just kind of cruise the verse in. It's a cool ship in that capacity. So. Yeah,
I mean, I like it for what it is. Like if anybody's listened to the podcast and made it through a lot of our, diatribes about different things, I don't necessarily like the looks of the 600i. It's not my favorite
Right.
in the verse. I feel to me it doesn't. I mean, I can see it, but to me it doesn't scream Origin for some reason. I mean, I can see how it would be, but yeah, it was not my favorite design. So
Yep. No, that makes perfect sense. Well, we've come to a ship that I think both of us are going to laugh out of the room at this point. And it's not because it's not cool. It's definitely cool. But we're talking 440 smackers for the Prowler. Or 4.2 million in game.
That's another one of those. It's kind of like the A2,
it's a
right?
head scratcher, man.
It's how that is way overpriced.
Yeah, I mean,
way overpriced.
And don't get me wrong, the Prowler's actually a pretty fun. It's a cool dropship. I mean, as far as dropships go, it's cool. I like it. I don't know what is going on with the alien tax or the dropship tax or whatever, and I think that double dips there, right? Because it's alien and so
it was definitely double dipped on that one.
Yeah, it's an alien. Yes, that definitely double dipped. It's an alien dropship, so it definitely got crushed there. But I here's the honest truth: I wouldn't buy the Prowler for $100.
I wouldn't either. I mean, would I earn it in game? Maybe somewhere down the road, but it's one of those, like I said, it kind of goes in that whole, collect them all thing. But, I don't have a perceived value for that ship where, we don't run in those gameplay circles for owning a drop ship to begin with.
Right.
It's a cool ship. I've flown it a bunch of times.
It's a cool ship. It is a cool ship.
But yeah, I mean, for our perceived value, no, I have no perceived value for that thing. Would I add it to a fleet down the road? Yeah. At some point, absolutely, but not at $100. Yeah, I wouldn't buy that at $100. I just don't. I don't find value in it. So.
Mm-hmm. All right, moving on. We're going to talk about one of Zel's favorite ships in the game. I want to preface it. I want to riff a little bit on it. One of the things that I don't know about this ship is how much money it's actually going to make. I'm assuming it's going to be an enormous amount of in-game money. It's going to be a in-game revenue generating ship. You know what I mean? And so it's funny because they recently kind of one of the ISCs kind of had this ship on there with a whole cargo hold full of stuff that this thing makes, and they show the guy walking up to the terminal, but they didn't show you how much he makes. So it's the Reclaimer, Zel. I mean, I will say it's $400. For of course the original concept was $350. It's $400. I would not pay $400 for the Reclaimer. It is 15 million in it's 15 million in game. Here's the thing. I think it's worth. I think that 15,100,000 that it is in game, it's worth every a penny of that. Absolutely.
To kind of go in that same line of thinking that we were talking about before, do you feel like it's in line from as a gameplay standpoint where it needs to be price wise, or is it one of those things where it probably should be even more?
Well, we'll have to see how much money it actually makes, right? That's the real caveat to me along those lines.
Yeah, I mean, because think of it this way. Say like the 890 is 35 million,
right?
And the Carrack is 25 million,
right?
And the 890 is supposed to be considered that, upper echelon. If you want to kind of break it down in kind of the gameplay and lore play, it's an executive ship.
Right.
It should be, it is the super yacht of the Star Citizen universe. And it absolutely should reflect that. So for something like the 890, this is my thinking. For something like the 890, it should be in that 150, 200 million UEC price range to me. Because like I said, it's up at that upper level of what it's supposed to be. To kind of give you that same line of thinking, I feel like the Carrack probably needs to be in that 75, 95 million range for, what it is, what it can do. It's supposed to be that, top of the line explorer ship. So I feel like, as an in-game thing, you need to spend a couple of months of grinding before you can afford something like that. Or at least a month and a half. I'm thinking something like, if you had an Idris or a Perseus or a Polaris or something like that, that absolutely, some of those higher end military ships that you can buy should be at least, that should be kind of like in-game stuff where you have to grind at least 2 months to get to that thing. I know stuff like the Javelin and things like that, or even some of the bigger military ships, kind of goes into the things that we are really interested in is going out and fighting those, those old hulks, the old hulls of those hulks, and bringing those in, fixing them up, and that's how we're going to get those big old military ships. That's where we find the fun type of thing. So, but yeah, for the Reclaimer, yeah, it should be. And you're right. All depends on how much money the salvage gameplay is going to make. You would think it should be in line with mining, at least, wouldn't you say?
I hope. I mean, I absolutely hope. I think, to me, and here's the thing, right? Because it's an interesting concept, right? You have the Vulture, or, which is the Prospector, a version of, you have, so, you have like, and I mean, of course they have the ROC mining as well, but that's a little different. But you have like this 1-2 punch. You have like the Prospector Mole. The Mole's nowhere near the same price as the Reclaimer. I mean, I'm assuming the Vulture is going to be around 3 million. I don't know. I mean, 5 million maybe at the most. I could be wrong about that. And maybe if the Vulture's, if it ends up being more 6 or 7 million, and then the Reclaimer's 15 million, then obviously they probably are going to make a lot more money salvaging. So
well, that would give us an indicator that they perceive salvaging to be more lucrative than mining. Because
the Reclaimer is the kind of the...
Yeah, but we don't have really a 1-for-1.
That's
you
true.
Can make the argument that...
Because the Reclaimer is kind of the large salvage ship, right? There's not a medium then.
No. You can make the argument that there's a 1-to-1 with the Prospector and the
Vulture.
Yes. But yeah, we've made this argument before. We need a few gradients.
Yes.
In between those is mining. Also,
well, and I think that's where I got over just my skis a touch. The Reclaimer is definitely, like, the Mole and the Reclaimer are not on the same level. Like the Vulture and the Prospector are on the same level. they're, when they come out with the large mining ship, that's going to be the one that's going to kind of go head to head with the Reclaimer. There's no medium, if the Vulture and the Prospector are the smalls, the Mole is a medium, the Reclaimer's a large.
Yeah, I most definitely feel like we're going to see a Mole equivalent in the salvage arena. So,
and we're definitely supposed to get there's supposed to be a large mining ship too. There's supposed to be something between the Mole and the Orion.
Well, look, in my in my hope of hopes, I hope there are 20 different mining ships.
Oh, of course, yes.
Alien
miners, different cultures, exactly. No, you're absolutely
right. If
I
had my way, there'd be more. But, there'd be 40 different mining type of ships. But, yeah, absolutely, man. The Reclaimer.
So Reclaimer, would you pay $100 for? Would you pay $200 for the Reclaimer?
$100, heck yeah. I mean, I even, like I said, and I've spoken about this before. There's some things that I go. Don't get me wrong, man. I get a little FOMO on some things, and I also get a little. We've talked about this weird feeling that you get with a lot of these. When you've actually purchased them, it gives you a weirder sense of ownership of them.
Yep.
Where it's like this, this feeling, this feeling of ownership once you've, purchased it, spent freedom dollars on it. It does give you a weird sense of ownership about it. And some things you're like, ooh, wow. And it's like, even, it's like looking at the concept price, there's been a few ships, don't get me wrong, Orion being one of them, had looked at it all day long and was like, whatever. And then looked at it again and go, yeah, I should have bought it as a concept.
Sure.
So even at $350, I was like, yeah, maybe. No, obviously I did not spend that. But $200, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, all right, put you down for two. And I think I am absolutely 100%. $100 no brainer. Yeah, absolutely would buy it. $200, I think I'm willing to sit on the fence for a little longer.
How about 150?
Yeah, 150. I probably would still buy it. Starts getting up around that $200 mark, and I start thinking to myself, could I earn that $15 million in game? Yeah, I sure could. You know what I mean? So. It's real easy for me to pull out $100 bill. It's a lot. It's slightly. It's not as. I'm kind of on the fence at 150. I'm kind of much more on the fence at $200. But it just depends. It just depends on. I mean, we may find that Reclaimer it poops out 3 of those boxes and they're worth $700,000. We don't know. That's the thing. So that'll be interesting for sure.
Well, it would make it, along with mining and some other things, but think about it this way. Think if, we were thinking that those boxes, we looked at them, they were definitely doubled that 2 SCU, because, we used to make those big 2 SCU boxes, and it looked
like those were 4 SCU boxes, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They were big boxes.
Yeah. And it looked like there was a lot of them in there. I mean, so if they were 4 SCU boxes, and it looked like there's at least 40 or 50 of them in there,
Well, think of it this way, with that salvage that you get, what if that stuff was, $50,000 for every 4 SCU box?
Yeah, I mean, it does start making you wonder for sure.
You know, I could see it. I don't know, but I could see it. It doesn't seem, at 50K per 4 SCU. It didn't seem like a big deal. Like it could be a thing, and it would make it very, that hole, that cargo hold, pretty big.
Yeah, it's supposed to have 180 SCU. I mean,
man, just think of it.
I don't even think about it. That's the thing, you're absolutely right. Okay, so let's take a mole. It goes 96 SCU. Well, you know what that's worth. Well, this thing can hold twice that. So, yeah, I mean, maybe if you might take a reclaimer out and you strip, you get a whole bunch, you come back with 100 plus SCU of whatever it is you're salvaging. And
I mean, I could see it being 7-8 million and whatever.
Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see what type of value they place on the initial, whatever the tier 0.
Pirates will be going after reclaim.
Yeah, I mean, and it'll also be interesting to see if maybe it's, obviously hull stripping is one thing, but eventually is it going to be scrap? Is there going to be different levels of that? It's just going to be an interesting thing. So, for sure. All right, well, we got that settled. Let's talk about we've talked about a lot of the different Crusader, ships or whatever. The Valkyrie obviously is one it's $375, I think.
I know you wouldn't spend a nickel on that.
No, I wouldn't. I don't like the Valkyrie. I mean, I don't like drop. I think that there's a dropship premium there, $375. It's 4.4 in game. I don't like. I mean, Starstream's, by the way, he adores the Valkyrie as a rock hauler, and I mean,
right.
And I think it's of course it's VTOL and. And some of it seems like would be a good use case for it. But the Valkyrie, it's a bit squishy for me. I definitely, even at $100, I don't like the Valkyrie. And I know that I have a little bit of a personal animus against it. Every time I fly that thing, Marines die. So. But yeah, no, I think it's a cool ship. I do like the idea with having the door gunner things, like kind of the Vietnam chopper mode or whatever,
Oh yeah, and it's way more versatile than the Prowler.
Yes. Oh yeah, I would definitely give it that too, for sure, because it does have you can put some ground vehicles on it and stuff.
Yep. I like it more than the Prowler for its versatility. When it becomes a little bit more heavily armored, as the game goes on, its armor is going to play a big role in its survivability. I think it's a cool ship, but same argument that I gave for the Prowler. It's really not in our wheelhouse. I definitely would buy it in game. I'd probably buy it before I would buy the Prowler. In game, absolutely. But $100, probably not.
Yeah.
No.
Same. So moving on, unless you got a little more to say about the Valkyrie.
No, but I think we missed one. In that 400 price range.
Oh, well, we may have.
What do you have the Starliner at?
Well, and that's, yes, there are, it's one of those things, are we doing the ones in the game, not in the game? The Starliner, of course, at $400 is, an interesting ship. First of all, I love the design. It is a Crusader ship, which is a bonus. The gameplay loop of loading NPC AI onto my thing and taking them on a tour or hauling them from one place to another, not really my thing. $400 is a lot of money, but I can tell you just really quickly, $100 that's a no-brainer. I think it's a cool enough ship. And depending on what modularity comes along with it as well.
That's right? The thing. It's gonna have a lot of modularity as well.
Yep.
And I brought it up, because it may have a little bit more versatility than some. But then again, you got to think. There's got to be a way to be taxied around inside the PU, inside these systems. And that, basically you're, being a taxi service if you're, in one sense, but then again, it's going to have modularity for a lot of different other things as well. So it's going to be more than just a hauler of people or NPCs,
right?
So it's an interesting thing. I think it's a cool concept ship. $100. When I was sitting there looking at it, I was like, I might actually spend $100 on that, because I think it's going to have a lot more versatility than we see on the surface.
Yes. So. Well, and listen, it's a great design. I mean, and the fact that it's a Crusader ship is, it's going to have just unbelievable maneuvering thrusters.
That's the thing, man. It's I hate to say it, but I'm a Crusader fanboy. I like Crusader ships.
Well, I mean, it's hard not to the way they fly. That's just the facts of really hard not to the way they fly. So I do, yeah. I could definitely see also, like, if there was a variant of the Starliner that's just a cargo ship, it'd be a cool cargo ship too.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, so I mean, I definitely, but yeah, $100 no brainer, no problem. $400, nah, I'm not gonna do it. And so there's a couple of other, just kind of because we're looking at those other lists and we were kind of marching down. I guess the next one, which would be, well, it's the Glaive at $350. I don't know what's going on with that. I mean,
no,
that's a hard. I'm just gonna say that's a hard no at 100 for me. And it's a hard no at 350 for me. And those ships are cool, but I don't know. I mean, the Blade, the Glaive, all those. I mean, I wouldn't pay the money for them.
Well, okay, let's put this in kind of a little bit of perspective here.
Sure.
So, in that 350 price point, you have the Constellation Phoenix.
Yep.
Would that be $100 ship to you? Because for me, I'll preface to say I like the Connies.
Right.
But the
Phoenix is the luxury one, right?
Yeah, it is, but
I would probably pick something different than the Phoenix.
Yeah. Would I own a couple of different Connies? Probably. We'll get to that.
Yep.
But okay, so in this 350 price point, what about the Crucible? $350.
I mean, the Crucible.
Spend $100 on it?
Oh yeah, the Crucible's an easy $100 spender. Yep. What about you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
No, yeah.
Even
all day long.
Even at 350, that seems. I mean, for what it does.
Yeah.
You could make an argument for it.
Yes. You absolutely could make an argument for it because it very well could be a moneymaker.
Yep. I'll bring you. I'm going to bring you a no-brainer. A no-brainer. Something that is people have kind of, because it's been around so long as a concept, People have kind of lost touch with it. The Endeavor, $350.
So now we get to a ship where I might actually part money with that. You know, like
Actually spend the
Yep.
Actually spend the 350.
And as you know, because for on the Space Shorts channel, I had the moles had stopped working, and for all of us, for people who love mining, it was brutal. You know what I mean? When 317.2 came out, 317 came out actually. The mole wasn't working, and so I wanted to actually in the PTU test the mole, and I didn't own it, and I had made some money on the channel, and I decided to buy the mole, and just specifically so I could test it in a PTU. And the mole, it makes great money. But I mean, the $315 is not, but I could definitely see myself melting the mole for an Endeavor.
Well, for a lot of people that don't know, this is a capital size ship.
Yep.
It is the epitome of modularity.
Yep.
It's this thing is going to be a gigantic ship. Gigantic ship. It is most definitely a capital size ship at $350. We've spoken about these capital ships earlier on, like the Javelin and the Kraken, at some degree the Idris, but these things are 3,000, 2,000, 1,600. The Endeavor, $350.
Yeah.
You can start really making an argument. We've kind of made, in a funny kind of way in our little game here, we'd almost have to make an exception for this one, because it would probably be the upper echelon of ships at that price point. Holy cow.
I don't disagree at all. The only reason this ship is $315 is because it's probably going to be one of the last ships that goes into the game. And I'm assuming it's got so much versatility. There's so many different things you can hook up to it. I think it's worth every penny. I mean, that particular ship to me seems like if you go look at the Endeavor and you go look at the different things that it's going to be able to do, I mean, you're talking about, it very well could be your home away from home. It very well could be. You could have three Endeavors sitting next to each other and literally have a city in space.
Yep. It's going to have several different modules.
Yep.
You can have 2 different modules on at one time. It's going to have hangar space. It's going to have repair space for other ships. It's going to have, huge. I mean, it's going to be a floating hospital. Literally, it's going to be a huge ass med bay. It's got several different science modules. It's going to have, basically a super collider on the thing. It's pretty nuts. And at $350, you could make an argument. At $200 all day long and every day.
Yes, that's
like Sundays.
Yep.
So
I'd buy it for $200. I mean, I'm arguing for it at $350. So yeah, I mean, I definitely buy it. That'd be a no-brainer at $200.
When you're looking at that in the Glaive, and you're like, the Glaive is $350, when you can buy a capital ship for $350.
Yeah, that's just a no-brainer.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess the next one would be the Hull C.
Hull C is now $350. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what its standalone price is.
Well, here's the thing, Hull C.
And let me caveat it to say the concept price was $200.
Yeah, $200 concept price was an unbelievable steal for this thing. You're talking about a ship that's got 4,608 SCU. just a massive hauler. So at $350, do I... I'm not going to buy it at that, but the argument could be made, depending on how Quanta gets in here and how, trade works out. I mean, the argument could be made that there's still value in that, in the sense that, you can make a boatload of in-game money with that, with being able to haul 4,600. I mean, that is like a whole bunch of... that's a whole bunch of C2s. I mean...
it really is.
So, it's like 7 C2s worth, or say 8 C2s worth, you know what I mean? So, between
right,
7 and 8 C2s worth. So, at $200, though, I would do that all day long.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I feel like, it is most definitely worth that price. What ballpark would you say, now that we've kind of established it's going to be one of those upper echelon haulers? I mean, I know we didn't get into the D and the E or whatever.
In my mind, the Hull C could end up being the most, it literally could be the most common hauler in the game.
So what would you ballpark its in-game price for?
Oh, that's an excellent question. Now, are you talking about what I would put it at myself, or like if putting it in today's market?
Well, we were kind of, we know where the pricing is right now on a lot of these ships, and I feel, I think we've established that a lot of these ships are underpriced.
Yes, I mean, to me, like a Hull C, like it's not going to be, it doesn't have a lot of frills. You know what I mean? It's so I probably would think it'd be around maybe 70 million. Something like that. And the only reason is because it's not. I understand its capabilities, but it doesn't have. It's not gonna. There's not gonna be much luxury about it. You know what I mean? What about you?
I feel like that's a good price. Definitely in that 70, 80 million. Because let's face it, man. You're hauling a crap ton. You're going to make truckloads of money doing space trucking.
Yeah, yes, exactly. I mean, you're going to make a crap ton of money hauling with that Hull C. It's just, you're going to make that money back fast. You're also going to assume an awful lot of risk, but for sure, Hull C is 200. Man, when I look at this now and I see it was a concept at $200, sorry I missed it.
You kind of get a little bit of that FOMO.
You do, man. You do.
Especially when we've established that, that $200 price point is kind of that upper echelon.
Yep.
So you've been keeping tally, and we're going to add this up at the end.
Yeah, I've got a tally running right now.
And see where our money is. And, we put that question out to you guys last week with how much money have you spent in the game? And, when we get done, we're going to put the question to you, if you did it incrementally, like about one every other week, or, one a month, and, it wouldn't be, with the development cycle as it's been so far, you could, have really spent a lot of time with this so far, but, we're going to see where our money is, and then we'll ask you cats, what you guys think about it. So the Hull C, man, all day, every day. I'll put and I think you're right, man. I think it's, it definitely as a hauler is that upper echelon. You got the D, that's considerably bit bigger, and the E, which is going to be bananas.
Yeah, they're exponentially bigger. It's crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, in that same line of thinking, if we feel like the whole C definitely is in that 70 million price range, which I feel like you've put a pretty good price point on it, man. You nailed it, I believe. And something like the whole E might be in that 200 million price range.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And it's because, listen, their car at the end of the day, I mean, they're amazing and they make lots of money, but they're not luxury. You're not there's not like high end.
Oh yeah,
like trim and stuff in these things.
Well, I mean,
they're very industrial.
I mean, we're speculating, but I mean, even with current trends, holy crap, dude. It takes a pretty good bankroll just to fill up a C2 right now.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. I mean, holy mackerel! Could you imagine? Put a C2.
Even with cargo at its current prices, holy shit, dude. I mean, think of it this way. I mean, you can spend millions on cargo in a C2 right now, just buying just nothing. So
I mean, Laranite, I mean, that's very expensive. Isn't it like about 3 million or something like that when you fill that thing up? Or
yeah, I mean, think of it this way, man. Think of it being 100 times more than what's in a C2 right now.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, yeah, man, it is definitely going to be a risk reward thing, and I guess another thing too is, yeah, I mean, I think you're going to make bank, but dude, you're also going to be a sitting duck.
Yep, you're really gonna you're definitely not going to be wanting the wheel. Take your unprotected big old cargo hauler through some dangerous spot. I mean, you could find yourself in a real big jam in a hurry.
Oh, for sure, man. And yeah. So yeah, that's gonna be pretty wild gameplay, and just kind of bring this stuff into perspective. They got the Kraken conversion kit on here. That's to turn the Kraken into the floating mall, or whatever, the big mall.
Oh yeah, it turns it into the Kraken privateer.
Yeah, and that thing is $350. Get out of town, man. So.
Oh yeah, that is funny. All right, moving on. So we've got it looks like we're in around the caterpillar right now. So and the Starfarer is in there as well.
Yeah, man. You missed the Starfarer.
Yeah. So the Starfarer. Let's talk about and of course you have the Scythe, by the way. It, is in and around that price too. So Scythe, yeah, we've same kind of deal as we've talked about before. Of course, the Eclipse is in that price range too. Lot of ships around $300.
Yeah, I mean, no. No. Yeah, the Eclipse, it's not worth it. I wouldn't even spend $100 on it.
Nope, same here. I mean, the Redeemer. Some people may like it. I'm not going to spend $325 on it, and I'm certainly not spending. I'm not even going to spend $100 on the Redeemer myself. What about you there?
I kind of like the Redeemer a little bit.
Yeah.
I may spend $100, but here's the thing. I mean, we haven't really kind of put any more gradient. It's just like we've kind of hard capped it at 100. But I'd spend $80 on it. Yeah, probably. So.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely started. Yeah, I mean, you get down around $50, and it's like, hey, yeah. I mean, that's a whole different animal, even 50 than 100, But yeah, Redeemer, definitely. You're in for 100 on that one. What about in the Eclipse? We both kind of are a hard pass. The Scythe or the Scythe were a hard pass. The Mole. Where are you at on the Mole? I am at 100. First of all, I own the Mole, but we talked about why I ended up buying it. This is more for my channel than anything, and I'm going to end up melting it down. $100 though, Mole all day long.
Oh yeah, absolutely. 200?
No. I mean, and it's only because you've got it's 5 million in game.
Yeah.
I can prospect, once I can start out prospecting on a Monday, play a few hours every day, and by Friday I have a Mole. I know that's because I've done it.
Yeah. We like the Mole. We used it quite a little bit.
Love the Mole. It's a great ship. Lots of fun.
Yeah, I definitely, I definitely spend the money on it. In-game, think it's too cheap at 5 mil?
Well, considering if you get 96 SCU on board, which you don't necessarily very often, but you certainly, I don't know. I think that I think that the prospector around between 2 and 3 million's okay. I think the Mole. If the Mole was up around 7 or 8 or 9 million, it wouldn't bother me. If it was 12 or 14, that might be a little too far.
Yeah.
If it was 8 or 9 million, it wouldn't bother me.
Yeah. I'd say 8-9 mil would probably be a good.
Yep.
Would be a good price for it. What about? Let's go back to the Starfarer Gemini.
Yeah, Starfarer, $300. No, that's its current price, right?
No, absolutely not.
$100. I'd have a hard time not buying it for $100.
Well, we've spent a little time in that thing. We've used it quite a little bit and had a great time in it. When they do the rework on the interior, man, that's
going to be interesting.
$200?
No.
$100?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And below $100, it gets easier. Like you'd said. If it's below $100, it gets way easier. But $100, yeah, it's a fun ship. And quite honestly, it's going to be a necessary ship. You know what I mean? So which makes it, but once again, it's, because we've ground out those before, it's just one of those things where you're going to buy it in game usually. What about the price in game? That's 6.6 million.
I think it needs to be more.
Me too. I think that might be more around a 10 to $12 million ship.
Yeah,
maybe 13 to 15, really even.
Yeah. I was thinking around 15.
Yeah.
14, 15. Yeah. Just because, of all the things that it can do in game, once they kind of, figure out refueling as a whole, because they're gonna have to figure out a way for it to make money. Yes, it is, pretty useful in orgs, but if, you're wanting to go out and make money in the verse, refueling people and, trying to explore that type of gameplay, yeah, I think they're going to have to work on that one a little bit more.
A little too Wild West out there, really.
As an org thing for us, going on those long mining trips, I think it's, it's going to be a no-brainer for us. We'll definitely have one. So
and especially if you get those hydrogen fuel scoops working on that thing, and it can turn that stuff in and put the hydrogen fuel in the back tanks, and then if that thing gets the Quantanium,
having the refinery going, and on that thing. So
if for some reason the Eclipse can take over the refined Quantanium and that thing can turn it into fuel, that thing becomes infinitely more valuable.
Yeah. You're talking about
the Expanse.
Expanse, right?
Yeah, the Expanse. If for some reason the Starfarer, you can take advantage of the fuel scoop. It's got 2 size 3s, and then the non-military variant's got a size 6 in its nose. If for some reason you could go have that thing scoop hydrogen and then turn that into, put that into the tank, and then you also could take your refined Quantanium from the Expanse and put it on the Starfarer, and it can turn that into quantum fuel. Oh my god! I mean, that ship's gonna be worth way more than that then. Absolutely. Caterpillar, huh? Next.
Yeah, Caterpillar's next.
Well, how about this? Wait, Starfarer, $100? We talked about that, right?
Oh yeah,
100
absolutely.
yes. Yeah, okay. 100 yes, 200 no.
No.
All right, Caterpillar. People, Caterpillar is one of those ships where, to me, until the modularity comes in, it's hard to say. $295, it's a hard pass for me. And of course, I could understand where people may have bought it in the past because it was the biggest hauler for a while. But 4.6 million is an easy buy in game. And to be honest with you, I could see the Caterpillar maybe priced at 6 or 7, but not really much beyond that. Just because it's pretty straightforward thing. Drake's kind of stripped down. $100 for the Caterpillar. I would say probably yes for me, just because it's a weird ship. What about you?
It has its fans. Yeah, absolutely. It's, we talk about modularity. It's going to be one of those that has a crap toad of modularity to it.
Yes.
It is. It is going to be definitely one of those jack of all trades. It's quirky. I wasn't a fan. There's a lot of fans out there.
Yeah.
I wasn't a fan of the, down the lane and across the hills to grandma's house we go to get to the cockpit. But
it is a bit of a, there's like a swamp and a giant, there's a giant mountain you got to throw a ring in to get to the cockpit in there. Yeah.
It's quirky and it has a lot of cool things going for it.
Yeah.
I like it. Good buddy of ours absolutely feels like feels like that cockpit is the best cockpit in the game.
Yep.
Yeah, $100? Sure. Absolutely.
I dig it.
What do you think about, I guess, that one more constellation? How about the Aquila?
Now, the Aquila is the, that one is the exploration one, right?
Yeah, it's that kind of mid-range exploration-centric.
Now, the Aquila, because it's supposed to have kind of the more the radar type thing. I mean, certainly I'm not paying. Oh, yeah. I mean, if we're just we're talking about the Aquila as far as its current price of $275. No, I'm not paying that. Heavens no. The Aquila at $100. I probably would be more of apt to buy the Terrapin. There's a couple Constellation variants. For me, the Andromeda is a gunboat, and it's actually quite a capable. I mean, it's 96 SCU, so it's a respectable amount of SCU. It's got a heck of a ton. It's got a boatload of missiles, and then if you get people on the turrets as well, it's just a vicious ship. The Aquila, I would probably pick a different exploration ship. And of course, everybody knows how I feel about the Taurus. Where are you at with the Aquila?
Would I spend $100 on it? No.
I'm a no.
I'd spend $80 on it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. It does get, I'm probably more of a 50-60 guy. I do like, I will say, as far as the Constellation variants go, I like the Aquila's cockpit the best, with kind of the more rounded cockpit. The glass, the canopy. Right. But other than that, I mean, unless there was something substantial going on with its exploration gameplay, I'm not sure I'd give even the $100 for it.
Yeah. Like I said, I'd spend maybe 80 on it. And I do like the constellations. Mm-hmm. So, $5 million, do you think that's too cheap in game price for it?
That's an interesting question. Maybe $6 million, maybe a little bit more. I don't think it, to me, the Andromeda would be, the Taurus doesn't even seem like it. To me, the Andromeda seems like it should be the expensive one because it's got all the kind of the armaments on it.
Right.
But it's not really like that. I don't know. I think $5 million for that ship's not, I don't know. Maybe $7 million I'd be okay with. I don't know if it's much higher than that.
I mean, it is a pretty big ship.
Yep.
It's got 4-person crew. Can haul a lot of vehicles. Definitely is kind of one of those, when you look at it, it's that, quintessential Star Citizen, ship.
Yeah. I mean, the Corsair, it's about the same size as the Corsair, you know what I mean? It's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I think that Connie class, I definitely believe, we'll get to it in a minute, but yeah, I think they need to be bumped up in game price and a little bit. So, for sure. I mean, they're good. Never in 100 years would I spend $300 on this thing.
No, well, that's the thing. I mean, that's what I'm saying. The Corsair just seems like, at $215, just seems like a much better value. They're about the same size.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So, we've kind of gone through there. All right, let's go. Now we're into about that $290 price range.
Yeah.
So
right in that area.
Vanguard, Harbinger.
To me, the Harb is. First of all, I love the Harb. I love all the Vanguards. I really like the Sentinel. I really like the Harbinger. I think the Warden is great, and the Hoplite, is great as well. None of these ships are worth 260 or 290. None of them are worth that much money to me. And this should be the quintessential $60 gold tank.
Absolutely, that's basically what it is.
Yes, this is the $60 gold tank. This is, you put these things at $60, dude, and they're going to sell like hotcakes. I mean,
Absolutely, dude. I mean, these things would keep the lights on at CMG.
I agree with that 100%. I mean, they're meat and potato ships. They're tough as hell. Should they be $300? Hell no. Come on. This is a $60 ship.
Yes,
you know what I mean? And honestly, to be honest with you, I would not buy. I mean, these are all in-game purchases for me. I wouldn't spend $100 on any of these ships. I would spend $60 probably on a Harb, $60 probably on a Sentinel, $60 on a Hoplite for sure, and I may not buy the Warden. But there you just made $180 off me, but I got 3 ships.
Yep. I mean, yeah. Absolutely. This is, yes, when we're getting down to this level, and we're talking Vanguards, and we're going to be talking, other multi-crew fighters here pretty soon. Quintessential. That is exactly the price point. That, bam, nailed it. CIG, man, get a clue. You could sell, if you sold 100,000 of these things so far, which I doubt you have. You put it at $60. Yeah, you can sell half a mil of these.
Yes.
Guaranteed.
If for some reason you just started from here on out once a year, just doing a quarter discount, just selling these things at a quarter of their price. Pick one ship and just sell it for $60. If you would sell so many Harbingers, it's crazy, or so many, Sentinels. You'd blow your mind how many of these you'd sell.
Oh yeah, man. I mean,
and everybody's gonna buy one anyways in game. You might as well just sell it to them for $60. I mean, Jesus Christ, make some money.
I guarantee you, all day long, you would have made way more money at $60 than you did at,
290 or 280 exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Apollo Medevac. Now, I'm just gonna have to say, I feel like this is a pretty cool ship.
Yep.
I like the way it looks.
Yep.
I feel like it's got a really decent gameplay loop. At $275, I think we've, went over the line. At $200, it's questionable. At $150, yes. At $100, all day long.
Yep.
Not you.
$100, absolutely. It loses me after $100. I wish they would get down. I think the medical gameplay loop could be absolutely fantastic in Star Citizen. I think it needs a lot of work. The down states need to kind of be better. The whole beacon system. I like the idea. I like the idea of just having even NPC missions where you go pick up a guy who's hurt and get the levitating stretcher and put him on it and bring him back to your ship and that type of thing. And every so often, maybe throw the guy an extra bone. You rescued somebody who was really wealthy, or via Quano, and he tips you or something. But yeah, man, listen, I think I like both of those ships, the Triage and the Apollo Medevac. I think they're really cool ships. I do. They very well could play a huge role if there were, really large scale battles or whatever that went on between some organizations. They're configurable as far as what at least I think at least the Medevac is. Maybe It's the Triage, but where you can kind of you put the size 3 bed in there, one of those, or you can have a whole bunch of size 1s, or a bunch, So yeah. Anyways, just to kind of cut to the chase, $100 is an easy thing, and people who are into the medical gameplay, $150 I could see it. $200 is where you lose me for that shit.
Well, I know we'll probably have a couple of those in the org for sure.
Yep.
Kind of running around with us, and like I said, I think it's a pretty cool ship. I feel like the gameplay for it's going to be pretty awesome. It's going to be for being out on the fringes and doing the risky stuff that, we do, getting out and, finding those crazy places to mine, we're definitely going to want one in orbit. So yeah, it's cool. The blade, I'm just going to give you the F right off. I have nothing else to say to you.
Yeah, the blade that's a ridiculous price. But once again, that's a $40 ship to me.
Oh, for sure. Well, look, let's put it this way. It's
even 50.
Kind of in that yeah, I mean, you can buy it, and it's kind of, one of those, also has a referral thing to it. And, I believe kind of specialty things like the blade, the glaive, these Vandal inspired ships.
Scythe.
I believe these should be, like with a lot of this stuff, either reputation based or
maybe for advancements through Squadron 42 or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's going to be one of those kind of in-game things where a lot of these ships, like Vandal inspired ships that, you're going to have to steal them.
Yeah.
Or, fix up broken ones. Though, that's the only way you get, I know it's one of those, it's a Spira thing and all that jazz, but yeah,
Well, I would love the idea of finding, like that all of a sudden, like, and they're very difficult to find, but you do finally find a blade that you can actually fix. You know what I mean? Like I love that idea. I think it's a great idea, having some of these Vandal ships or these types of ships. Maybe because I know the Asperia is the kind of the redone version. Maybe you could find an actual Vandal blade. You know what I mean? Like, and find the exact, not the remake of it, type of thing. Where if you,
because basically Aspira is the kit car,
right,
of Star Citizen. So, but
at 250, 200. Now these, I wouldn't pay $100 for that thing.
No, I may pay $40 for it.
I might pay $40 for it. Yeah.
So, Retaliator Bomber, I'm just going to say no to that because a little bit down the list is going to be one of the key points of the conversation. So at that price, nada. We spoke about, we've already spoken about the Vanguard.
Yep.
If we sold those bad boys at $60, they would fly off the shelves.
Yes, they would.
Now, here we come into kind of tricky territory for me, because like I stated earlier on, one of the reasons we started this little conversation to begin with is, what am I going to be spending my LTI tokens on?
Yes.
And for sure, one of them is going to be on my Star Runner.
Yep.
The Merc is getting an LTI token because it's my go-to. It's my daily driver. It's, it's one of my favorites.
Yep.
And, for this exercise, I'm going to have to spend the 260.
Yep.
But, honestly, that's not going to give me the feel badsies. I'm not going to be like, that sucks. Like, at that price, it's not a feel badsies for me. At 225,
right?
No. But because it is what it is. Would I have bought it at 200? That's the question. And we start getting into that. Well, we've passed on a lot of big ships at $200.
Yep.
Where we're like, we're not going to buy it at 200. But
Well, and you like that ship, so I could see you. For me, it's 150. You know, at $100, absolutely. 150, yeah, I'm still on board. 200, I'm starting to think about buying it in game.
Yeah, I mean, I may have to, you know, kind of war bond it and try to get it down as much as I can. And, you know, I got a couple other little things I could probably melt, you know. But, you know, I definitely know that, you know, it is going to get one of my LTI tokens. So, I mean, like I said, at 260, it's not going to give me the feel badsies. I'm probably going to try to get it down with war bonds and that, you know, 225 to 200 range. And it'll be fine and dandy. At $100, I would have bought it. I'd have probably bought 3 of them, you know.
Yeah, but, I mean, at $100, I mean, if you made the Mercury a $100 bill, you could not sell enough of those things. I mean, you'd sell them all day long, every day.
It would be another one of those things that would be flying off the shelves.
People would. I mean, they would continue to buy those things. You'd have whatever 100 sales a day. You know what I mean? You'd just be selling those things like crazy.
For the sake of this exercise, that is one of those quintessential ships, you know, that absolutely should be $100. That is, you know, if any ship on this list should be $100, it should be that one. And I could make the same argument. You know, we've already spoken about the Vanguards. I could make the same argument for the 400i. You know, it's almost kind of appealing at that 250, but not really, you know, because I come to my senses. No, yep. I like the 400i. I really do.
At $100, I'd buy a 400i right now.
Yeah. Yep. You know, do I like it more than the Merc? Nope. But do I like it? Yep. Yeah, it definitely, yeah. Those are the 2 quintessential $100 ships for sure.
Yep.
Star Ares.
You know, these are Crusader ships, okay? And I love the size of those ships. I do. I really do. I like the size of them. They're not my jam, the Ares or the Ion. Now at $100, I probably would because of how potent they are. I mean,
you got a big gun.
Yeah.
Put holes in capital.
At $250, no way, never.
Nah.
But at $100, I may buy an Ion because I would think I might be able to farm with it. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I mean, that's now, yeah, I mean, that's just where I'm at with it.
Yeah, definitely. At $100, $80. Yeah, I can see that a little bit more because it's not even a dual fire. You know, it's not a dual. It's a single seater. Yes, it's got a gigantic gun on it. But you know, at the end of the day, it's kind of in that same vein. You know, I kind of see it like a heavy tank. It's in that 60. And if you wanted to make an argument because it had a big ass gun, maybe $70 range.
Oh yeah, yes, yes, nailed it. Maybe a little bit of a premium on it because it has a real big gun, but yeah, $70. Yeah, no brainer.
Constellations, we kind of made our point on those.
Yep.
Scorpius, the new hotness.
$75.
Same argument.
Yep.
Same argument that we just made with the Ares. Yeah, $75.
75. I mean, got it.
Yep. Those would have sold a metric truck ton.
Yep.
Of those at $70.
Yep.
Holy shit. You would have sold. I think everybody that has a Star Citizen account right now would have bought one of those.
Yeah, at $75, you'd have sold
Yeah,
You'd
3 million.
Yeah, you'd have sold a
You'd-
lot of those.
I could almost guarantee you at $70, 3 million Star Citizens would have bought that thing. Same thing. Raylan, it's not in the game yet.
And Raylan I'm interested in, but not at 225. I mean, I did buy it seems like I bought a Terrapin to Raylan upgrade package, though. They're around the same price, but thinking that the Raylan might get away at some point.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the Terrapin's going up.
Nah. I mean, look. What would you price that ship at? I mean, it's going to make a little bit of money.
The Raylan?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you mean as far as what do I think I'd pay for it?
Yeah.
In real money? $125 at the most.
Would you spend $125 on it?
I mean, I paid $150 for the Taurus, and I didn't mind doing it.
Yep.
Now, this thing doesn't seem to have as much pilot operating firepower, even though it's got... Yeah, I mean, I pay $150 for a Raylan. I actually kind of like the ship. It's got 320 SCU or something like that. $100, I think it's 320 SCU. Yeah, I mean, I've got my eye on the Raylan. $100 would be no brainer. I don't like the price of it at $225. But if for some reason when it comes out it does something amazing or is really good at something, I am holding a Terrapin to Raylan upgrade. I think it's like a $15 upgrade thing or something.
Yep.
So where are you with the Raylan?
Yeah. I think it's from the concepts that we've seen, I think it's cool looking.
Yeah.
And for over 300 SCU, yeah, I believe it's worth 100. It's worth it's worth a Benjamin.
Yep.
I think. Defender, it's kind of in that. I'm a fan of it. I like it. Love the way it drives.
Yep.
I probably, I fly it quite a little bit too. I love that thing. But if we wanted to make the argument that it's going to have, an alien pricing, I'd say $70.
Yep. That's where I'm at too. I mean, $70.
Vanguard being 60, 65, that being 70. Yeah, I could probably do that.
Oh, that defend. I mean, once 70, you make the Defender $70 and you sell a ton of them.
That's another thing too. We're making the argument here, fellas, that these ships at that competitive pricing would have, like the Scorpion, the Defender,
400i.
Yeah. You would have sold a crap ton of these things.
Yep.
The Scorpius at $70.
Oh yeah.
Like I told you before, I believe every person with an active account would have bought one. Same thing with the Defender. Everybody would have bought one. And also goes true with the Vanguard. Everybody would have bought one.
Yep.
So yeah, Santoki I don't know. It's one of those things. It's going to be another 2-seater fighter. It's it's that whole. It's one of those things. I don't. We only know it in concept, so we'll. $70, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, I wouldn't pay anywhere near $220 for the Santoki I. But I would, yeah. I mean, 50, 60, $70. Yeah, no problem with it.
Yeah. Another favorite of yours, Terrapin.
Yeah, I wish the Terrapin was $60.
Would you pay a bill for it?
I don't think I would. I mean, well, certainly not in today's game because Yeah.
Well,
It doesn't have a use. I mean, this doesn't have a use case. If for some reason we find that the Terrapin is absolutely stellar at locating, things at a distance, then I'd of course pay a bill for it, and I probably would even go, $125 for it.
no, as much as I like the Terrapin, I can't.
But I think it's more of a $60 ship.
80,
Yeah.
70, 80.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. 70, 80.
Sure.
I think that's.
I'd be okay with that, and I buy it at 70 or 80.
Yeah. Corsair. We talked a little bit about it. I believe, I can't believe that this, as much as we talk about ships and as much as that we go over statistics and stats and all that shit on it, that somehow,
somehow we did not realize that this thing was only 55 meters long.
We assumed that it was going to be bigger than what it was.
I just, in my mind, it just looks like it's so big in like the pictures, in the media pictures, but it's actually not. It's not that long, really.
No, it's just tall. It's just tall.
Yeah, it's just tall. So it's an interesting ship. I'm not gonna pay the $215 for it. To me, this is about a $6 or $7 million ship at the most, if that, maybe even a $6 million ship, something like that in the game.
From what I've seen with the gray box and all that, do I feel like it's gonna be more ship than the Constellations? Heck yeah. I think there's more ship there than the Connies.
Certainly. I mean, the Aquila or whatever, it has more SCU. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, anyways, I think the Corsair at, say, 85, I like it a lot better at.
Oh, yeah, at that price, yeah, absolutely. I would have bought in that, yeah, at 85. 85, yeah. I could even make an argument that I might have bought it. If I would buy a Connie Taurus, which we're about to get to, I don't know, man. That's a toughie for me. $100 maybe.
Well, here's the thing that I'm gonna mention to you. We are probably already about 20 minutes long. Maybe we should cut it off at 200 and pick this up in the next. Because and here's the only reason I say that is because we're going to begin talking about like prices that we would actually might pay for some of these.
Yep.
Of course, lots of them we won't, but we're starting to get into the wheelhouse where, it's like, like the 200. So we could probably just say this episode is the $200 and above ships.
That's right, man. And this is part one.
Part one
of a two-part episode.
Yep, part one here of the 200 and above ships, because I really think we're going to get down to some brass tacks in some of these lower price points, because there's a lot of ships here that are. There's a lot that I think are $40 ships, and there's a couple of gems down here too. So it's it'll be interesting to see. So, what's your thought on that?
Yeah, I think so. I think everybody needs to comment down below. Tell us where you guys think we're at so far. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you feel like we've been talking out of our ass for the last 2 let us know down in the comments below. Let's because you're absolutely right, man. We didn't get through. We have a lot to talk about. I mean, there's a lot to talk about. A lot of these different things, and absolutely, I believe this needs to be picked up in part 2.
Yeah, so part 1 is going to be the ships that were north of $200, and part 2 will be the ships that are south of $200, and we'll pick through them all and just kind of. I've really enjoyed tonight's chat. I mean, I think it's and one thing I would say I'll ask a couple things here, Zel, before you before you kind of take it away and do that thing you normally do at the end of these. Zel and I, we don't necessarily advocating spending a lot of money on Star Citizen. I don't think you need to spend a lot of money on Star Citizen. I think that there are a couple of ships that if you did, out of all the ships we talked about tonight, I think I think $350 for the Endeavor is probably your best long-term investment. If Star Citizen is to work out down the road, you know
that you're right. I believe it, and we'll summarize this in part 2. But just to kind of leave you guys on a cliffhanger here, absolutely best bang for the buck, for sure.
Yep.
Right now, it's a capital ship for $350. So, from what we've been talking about so far, us, advocating in that 200 price range, being the upper echelon, but I think we need to make an addendum for the Endeavor. It's worth $350. As much as we do not advocate spending more than a couple $100 on something.
And if you buy an Endeavor, you're not getting anything for it. You know what I mean? You're gonna, besides a long wait. I mean, but I think it could pan out to be worth the most. Certainly the best. 100% agree. The best bang for your buck, north of $200, is the without really is going to be the Endeavor.
Well, you could also make the argument too, even though the Endeavor isn't your jam, when it finally gets into its gray box phase, that price is going to triple.
I don't disagree with that. It's modular, and it's, you can drive you can break it apart and fly away from, you can leave the base part. I mean, you literally could have like a whole floating city. Like you could have all of the different parts, especially with persistent entity streaming and that type of thing. You could, take the Endeavor base, go pick up like the farm, the agricultural part of it, haul it out to a spot. Go pick up the research part of it, haul it out to a spot. Go pick out the hangars, haul them out to a spot. Go pick up, the medical things and haul them out to a spot. You literally could have a floating city out there with the Endeavor, or several Endeavors. I mean, it's a special ship. It's going to be a very interesting to see. It's a long-term investment. But if you're putting money into the game above $200, I think it's probably and you're not necessarily expecting to have something back right away.
No, but if you were looking as an investment, and like I said, if it isn't your jam, as soon as that goes to gray box phase and it goes up in price, then hey, you'll have that money to melt into something that you really do like.
Yeah, I mean, you'll absolutely. I mean, if it doesn't jump that fast, because it could, but you might be able to all of a sudden pay. You buy that thing for $350, and all of a sudden you're paying $100 more for a Polaris or a Pioneer.
Yep.
I mean, you certainly could see that. I mean, whether or not it will climb up to Kraken, or Idris P or whatever is hard to say. But I could.
Right, it may climb right up that Kraken.
But you might end up with an Odyssey or a Perseus or something, for a lot cheaper.
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely could melt that up to something that may be in your wheelhouse, for sure.
Yep.
I most definitely think, if we're looking at something like the Odyssey, which is much smaller, it doesn't have, nearly the gameplay options that, say, the Endeavor will have. If it's $700, then that it's going to be over $1,000. when, once that thing goes to gray box. So,
Couldn't agree
absolutely. I believe, if we're going to, be talking about, having a little bit of investment, you may have to sit on it for a hot minute, but, I believe it'd be a decent investment for sure in the game. And, yeah, absolutely. So, man, part 1, this was a blast.
I enjoyed it. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Zal, take us away.
You guys, make sure that you stay tuned, man, for part 2. We're really going to get into it in part 2. This is where it's going to get good. So you make sure that you hit that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up, man, because this was some great conversation. This was awesome. And let us know down in the comments below whether, you agree with us or, don't agree with us, man. Let us know. Would you have spent that money, man? We're going to do a big summary, in part 2 and see where we're at and, see if you guys agree with, where we're at or not. So, but let us know, man. Let us know so far what you guys think. And with that being said, we're going to see you in part 2 in the next Rock Runners Report.